Hello, Magic players. Welcome today to the summer series of Set Roulette. We've got a great format in store for you today. I'm here joined by my co-host and co-organizer, Anders Thiessen. I'm Stuart Fleischer. Welcome to the stream, everybody.
Thank you, Stuart. It's a pleasure being here. Looking forward to seeing what people have come up with this time. We have 11 players ready to unfold their creativity. Can you just remind me, Stuart, what sets do we have in the pool today?
Yeah, absolutely. So today we've pulled 6 sets at random from Magic's history, as you guys may have heard on our primer video there. And the 6 sets that we're going to be working with today are going to be Onslaught, 10th edition, Dragons of Tarkir, Planar Chaos, Conflux, and Oath of the Gatewatch. So, Anders, I know you and I have been playtesting a little bit together and with other folks in the Discord. What's your overall impression of this format? What should we expect to see today as we're watching some of these matches?
I'm thinking here be monsters, whether they're dragons or Eldrazi's. There's definitely some big meanies waiting around. Oh, the Gatewatch brings, as we can see from the beautiful icon, Thought-Knot Seer and his best friend Reality Smasher, combined with 10th edition bringing us the Painland, so it's kind of free to play the Diamond mana. We are in for something here. At least we don't have like the completely busted artifact mana, like Sol Lands or Sol Ring or stuff like that. We do have Mindstone and we have Rampant Growth, so we might see Thought-Knot Seer as early as turn 3. And
And
that definitely puts the pressure on what you can expect to be able to do as a reactive deck.
Yeah, I mean, beef is definitely the name of the game, and definitely for the first week of testing, I think we saw a lot of people packing 8 to 12 Eldrazi in their list. One of the great things about the transition that we've made to doing 2 weeks of testing is you get to see the format evolve. People start to get a handle on what's going on, and things shift a little bit. So I did notice during the second half of the week or of the testing period, we did start to see people playing a little bit more low to the ground. There were some Selesnya aggro decks floating around using Anafenza to create kind of a go wide strategy that had some sizable beaters. I started to see more goblins lists with Goblin Pile Driver and Dragon Fodder coming into the playtest rooms. And important to remember, there's also collected companies floating around out there. So we may see some Bant strategies today. But the thing that stands out to me most about this format is that it feels like one of these rare formats where anything is possible and there's no primary strategy, and you're really free to, pick and choose the cards that are most appealing to you, put them in a deck, and everything kind of competes at a fairly fair level. And so I think we're going to see a lot of creature combat. I think we're going to see a lot of kind of mid-range coming out today. We're not going to see some of the over-the-top combo stuff that we saw in the last event with Dream Halls. Although I have peeked at the deck list, and I will say there are a couple people playing some exciting brews. So I'm excited to kind of see the creative aspects
Yeah,
coming
that
into
was
the
my
event.
next point. That we also have what's called Noble Hierarch and Collected Company, and that is definitely going to be another strategy. But all these creature decks also has to be varied, because if you want to play sweepers, you can play all of them. We have Damnation, we have Wrathgut, we have what's called Acromis Vengeance, we have Martial Coup. If you want to play sweepers, that is certainly possible. There, you can choose anything. So there's that counter pressure. It's not just about being the most mid-range deck, because then at some point someone will just shrug and just eradicate your entire board, and start beating you up with maybe even they call bolas. This format is kind of slow. We could see our favorite 8 mana planeswalker here.
I'm excited to see if anybody packed any of those cards and what weird off the wall brews people have come up with. Speaking of off the wall brews, I do want to remind people that we have a new sub game going on, which is that there is a prize for whoever submits the best screenshot to our Discord before we cut to elimination rounds today. So players, as you're playing, when you do something cool or your opponent does something cool, make sure you screenshot it. get it into our Discord. You have a chance to win a small cash prize for whoever comes up with these fun screenshots for us today.
Yeah, and speaking of cash and prices and economics and that, don't forget that it is possible to support this project via our donation button in the Discord and on the website as well. We appreciate every penny coming in. It helps us keep the lights on here and support Set Roulette with an amazing prize pool, no matter if we are 11 or 33 players.
Absolutely, and on the same lines, make sure that as you're practicing for these events, you're inviting friends and trying to grow this community. So we're looking forward to seeing what we can get into today. And I think Anders, it might be time for us to pair round one. What do you think?
I just clicked the button. As you were saying that, we have 11 players braving the summer heat. That means we will be playing 5 rounds of Swiss with a cut to top 4 today. Unfortunately, with 11 players, 1 player will have a bye each round. But we have matches paired, and players are invited to find their opponents as fast as possible, and we will get starting.
Anders, what was your favorite deck that you play tested in this format while we wait for our players to get paired?
Oh, I think it's a bit hard to say because there's so many different directions you could go. I love playing like a Grixis control deck and beat folks up with Nicol Bolas. That was super fun. Also tried blue-black control with Dragonlord Silumgar, but like just a few days ago, I took a look at green-white Sapperlings.
Ooh.
Because Overrun is legal as well, and with Nissa in the mix as well, you can have a pretty decent go wide kind of grindy strategy there. There are some Thalids that are kind of worth to play. I didn't get to test it much, but it was definitely fun.
You know that it's Set Roulette when you start talking about Thalids.
Yes.
For my part, I really enjoyed casting Dwarven Blast Miners this set because it is a format where people are trying to cast Nicol Bolases and Elder Dragons and go really large. I was able to really take advantage of my opponent's poor mana base and put a tax on those expensive cards by playing things like Dwarven Blast Miner and Annex to get a mana advantage and attack that way. We'll see what if any of our players have taken a similar strategy here. I see that our players are starting to build the rooms out, so as soon as we have a match to take you to, we'll hop on into that. Anders, what strikes fear in your heart in this format? Was there anything that you played against that was
I think green and black as that combination, that is extremely strong because green gives you the Den Protector, Depth Raptor, Crows and Tusker package, which can really grind out a lot of power or a lot of cards. And black gives you access to what is my pick for top creature of this format, Kalitas. Because a lot of the card advantages is creatures getting back from the graveyard and just stopping Den Protector silliness, Death Raptor silliness is super powerful. And then like Kalitas is just a sizable beat stick as well.
Yeah, interesting to note, Kalitas randomly dodges several pieces of key removal in the format. The removal was things like Terror and Destroy Target Monocolored Creature, both of which Kalitas dodges really nicely. And as we were kind of talking about this format, we were noticing that this might be a format where we start to see people really building out their removal packages with 4 different one-ofs.
Yeah, just to be able to cover all the bases. I think the go-to removal spell, the baseline, is Grasp of Darkness. Then you start having issues with obviously larger creatures. Dragonlord Silumgar, for one, dodges a lot of things. Dodges Terror, dodges Ultimate Prize, dodges Grasp of Darkness.
Roast as well. I will really quickly throw out that Path to Exile is legal in this format if you choose to play white. So I think that may actually be the primary piece of removal for for decks. But we have joined a match here in round one. We have Korath the Betrayer against Fade to Black. And already we're seeing some Set Roulette glory with a Dragon Tempest in play. This is one that we may need to read to people.
Yeah, so it's a 1 red for an enchantment from Dragons of Tarkir. Whenever a creature with flying enters the battlefield under your control, it gains haste until end of turn. That's cool. Birds of Paradise is basically free, but I don't think you play this for Birds of Paradise. Because the next text is whenever a dragon enters the battlefield under your control, it deals X damage to any target, where X is the number of dragons you control. This could be a wild one.
Yeah, an interesting card. I was playing this a little bit in some of my testing in combination with Patriarch's Bidding to try to bring back, 5 or 6 dragons at once and just immediately deal 20, 25 damage to my opponents. It looks like Korath opting for a little bit more of a fair strategy with ramp and harmonizes. Just happy to slowly deal out the damage with Dragon Tempest.
Yeah. But that can also just work, right? Just ever so quietly grind. Fade to Black here is running what he has named Red Black Eldrazi, and we do see Sulphurous Springs being able to, and Battlefield Forge here, doubling as a tri-land, dual land, however you want to cut it. And we do see Kalitas here. So this deck can grind, but it can also beat. So we have the package of Goblin Dark Dwellers together with Kolaghan's Command to truly just grind you out. So Kolaghan's Command, for those that at home that don't know it, it's one of the commands from the Dragon cycle, Dragons of Tarkir, the command cycle, where Kolaghan is 1, a black and a red, and you choose 2 out of the following 4 modes: destroy an artifact, shock, return a creature from your graveyard to your hand, and target player discards a card. So it is a 2-for-1 built in right there. But then with Goblin Dark Dwellers, you can basically Snapcaster a 3-mana instant sorcery for free, without paying its mana cost. And you get a 4/4 menace out of the deal for 5 mana.
Yeah, you referred to the graveyard being kind of a key source of card advantage. Goblin Dark Dwellers, very happy to leverage the graveyard to just cycle in with those Kolaghan's commands and just create a small loop there, or even just pick another card off with either a distress or a removal spell.
Yeah, and we see the Beasticks are here, Thought-Knot's here, taking the last card out of... No, not taking the last card out of Korath's hand, because it is a forest that is not takeable with Thought-Knot's here. We see Dragon Fodder again, and Korath would really love to start drawing some dragons. Let's see what Korath has. So the creature package out of Korath the Betrayer is 4 Birds of Paradise, 4 Thunderbreak Regent, and 4 Seascan Commander. And then there's, oh my lord, Descent of the Dragons. A big red mythic rare sorcery, so we know this is going to be good. So 4 a red and a red. Destroy any number of target creatures. For each creature destroyed this way, its controller puts a 4/4 red dragon creature token with flying onto the battlefield. And right now there are 4 goblin tokens.
So that, in combination with the Dragon Tempest, is I believe 16 damage comes into play, plus 4/4 hasted dragon creatures would certainly be lethal. But Korath, we do see on 0 cards in hand, just hoping to kind of draw that card to get there. And that's what these red-black decks are really trying to do, is just grind out, make a lot of 1-for-1 or 2-for-1 trades, and slowly get to a point where they have a Thought-Knot Seer or a Kalitas or a Reality Smasher to take it home. And the plan working out beautifully here for Fade to Black is they have kind of an overwhelming board state, and Korath does agree. And so that brings us to the end of game 1, and we can take a look here at some of the sideboard options and some of the deck lists. I'm popping up right now this red-green Dragonfall deck here.
Yeah, so out of the sideboard, we do see 2 Roast, which interestingly kills every single creature we can see on the battlefield right now. 2 Troll Aesthetic. I think he's just a little guy, and he might be a little bit too little for this matchup. Something that's not too little is the 2 Dragon Lord attacker.
Yeah.
I think we will definitely see this. What Core want to do here, in my mind, is kind of stave off the initial attack and then go over the top. Uh, just put as many good top decks as he can into his deck.
Troll Aesthetic
We
is a bit of a sneaky card in this format because the Hexproof and the Regenerate combine to put up a pretty good wall if what you're trying to do is get to the late game. And in this deck, it's really interesting with Nissa, Voice of Zendikar, allowing it to get up to 4 or 5 power and start to create some serious board stalls and threaten to trade with things like Thought-Knot Seer. But you may be right. It may be a little bit too slow and put too much tax on your mana for us to see it in this matchup. We'll see what Korath decides. Let's switch over now to the red-black deck and take a look at what they're working with and what changes we might see out of them.
So there's 3 Damnation. They might come in. I'm not sure. There's 3 Deadmark. And there's 3 Duress. I could see that coming in. 3 Tormenting Voice, which I think is just a good idea to have that in your sideboard for when you have, if you have dead cards in your deck and you just want to cycle through your deck. So like that's a interesting call to just have a blank piece of cardboard that can just cycle through your deck, if that's what you want to be doing.
Yeah.
Then there's 2 Tears of Valakut, which can kill creatures with flying, and that's very interesting. And then there's 1 Blackmail for that extra discard spell. So I imagine we'll see some of the discard spells come in, and maybe the Tormenting Voice, depending on how Fate of Black decides to change up his deck, how much removal they want.
Interestingly, Damnation, because this combo from Korath does require a good bit of setup, Damnation does actually disrupt the combo. And with that in mind, I wonder if we don't see some of these Dragon Tempests leave the main deck from Korath in anticipation of not having a big enough board state.
Yeah, I could see that, at least shaving on them. I think you might still want to have the ability to threaten it, but having 2 is going to suck really bad, I think. And then just play a more grindy, just junk without the black kind of deck. And if you do go that way, then maybe Troll Aesthetic might actually work.
Well, these players certainly are aware of the red-black deck. It was a kind of a menace in the testing rooms. A lot of people on there, so it's very much a known quality. So I would expect Korath to have a plan for it, and we'll see what they end up deciding to do and how they're attacking. We do see a Dragon Tempest, a Harmonize, and a Nissa left in their hand after Distress takes the Thunderbreak here.
Yeah, and then Harmonize just saying thank you very much. I would like to fill up again. And right now, depending on Fate to Black's hands, obviously, it looks like Cord is pulling ahead here. Cord has not committed too many creatures to the board, so like they're not scared of a potential Damnation. All right, let's see. What do we have now? So Duress takes Nissa, and we're left with Rapping Growth, Dragon Tempest, Dragon Tempest. That's what I was talking about. Double Dragon Tempest here is, I mean, sure you get a lot of triggers once you find some dragons, but wouldn't you rather just have dragons in this matchup?
Yeah, definitely. Having a card that doesn't attack your opponent is a little bit of a liability when what your opponent's trying to do is pick off your creatures one by one. So having something that sets up your creatures and makes them better is kind of a lost card. But
especially the second copy, in my opinion. The first one might be worth it, but having the second one is going to look a bit sketchy here. But
Siege Gang Commander, on the other hand, does line up pretty well against 1-for-1 removal. So we'll see now if any of these sweepers came in and if the red-black deck is set up to get around some of this go wide behavior that we're seeing out of the red-green deck.
Yeah, if this is them, no, this is just distress.
Yeah, and at a certain point, distressing the cards out of your opponent's hand doesn't answer the most critical questions that are being asked.
No, right now this army in a can is going to start taking sizable chunks out of Fate of Black's life total.
And a significant
Even
amount
though,
of reach from this Siege Gang commander as well. He does the attacks only have to go so far when you have a creature threatening to
yeah, just throw
just
the
start
take
flinging.
all your cards, throw them in your opponent's face, and just say deal with it.
Yeah.
Uh,
And with five goblin tokens in play, we may see that start to happen as soon as this end step. But instead, it looks like
yeah,
both Dragon Tempests are going to come down.
yeah. So that sets card. So it's a bit of double-edged sword here because obviously it sets cards up amazing if a sweeper hits here. And let's see if it does. Yeah,
Yep.
this counts as a sweeper. Right, and this is max punishment for Korath because if he had left up 2 mana, he could have at least killed off the Chandra.
Right. Taking out the Chandra, even potentially if he didn't deploy either Dragon Tempest, deal an extra 2 points of damage. And, those 2 points of damage do matter when every dragon represents a shock now at this point.
Yeah.
And
And
Chandra
also just
doing quick work. It's a sweeper with a lot of upside here.
yeah, you're not leaving yourself many draws to get out of this. Yeah, Tranquil Ticket cycling, finding another land. I mean, it is max punishment for Korath. Korath set them up, and Fate of Black came and knocked them down. Uh, Taking beating after beating from this Chandra, and then just being punished further by not seeing any spells since the sweeper.
Yeah, you called it pretty nicely here with the double Dragon Tempest really looking like a liability at the moment. And if those were just, 4/4 creatures, then the Chandra's in a much, it's got to spend all of its loyalty to take them out, and all of a sudden you're in ground stall mode and not
Yeah,
taking
but then
6
again,
damage a turn.
what could these dragon servers have been? Because there are not many things to board in instead. I mean, there's a Dragon Lord of Tarkir, there's the Troll Ascetics, maybe even some needles for this Chandra, if you decide you want to go that way. But then again, Cord has Chandras of their own, so it's a bit at odds with what you want to do.
Yeah, definitely a tough spot. Kind of a tough matchup when you are playing against a deck that has, main deck Chandras as sweepers and access to more Damnations in the sideboard. It is hard to pull off a combo that involves getting a wide board state in play.
Yeah.
And we're
we
just
see-
stemming the bleeding here.
Yeah, Dragon Fodder is just... It basically cycled here, right?
Yeah.
Goblin Dark Dwellers.
And we're just going to check the empty hand here of Korath.
Yeah, just checking it out. So now we see Dragon Lord attack and everything is good? Question mark? No, we do not.
Nope.
So Face Black made quick work of that. So where do we want to go now? What do we have?
So we have a match going on right now between Teradra and Nick Hayashi.
Yes, let's...
Teradra notably streaming the event from his perspective on his own stream.
And we see... Oh, we just checked. I just opened the match and we see Biorhythm on the stack. With
Wow.
0 creatures in play on the other side. I hope Teradra took a screenshot of that to submit it, because that is beautiful.
Only in Set Roulette do you see Biorhythm taking down a game.
Yeah, I mean, that was the best timing for that. So they are in sideboarding. I didn't even manage to open the deck list yet. I just saw Biorhythm on the stack.
Well, Teradra, I know, has been working on the same deck for the entire 2-week period and playing a lot of matches. I know that anytime somebody was posting matches up in the Discord, he was jumping in, tuning this Abzan list. It started out as a green-black list, very Biorhythm based, slowly transitioned, adding more low end threats with Phyrexian Ragers and Den Protectors to become kind of a solid Abzan grind fest of a deck. And it looks like he really lived the dream in this first game or two of Set Roulette with a resolved biorhythm against a control deck.
Yes, and I just want to say that it is the definition of a fun off. There is one biorhythm in this deck, um, and yeah, the idea is to grind out the opponent. Uh, uh, there's some removal spells. He started as you said, pure green black deck. Decided to splash white for Path to Exile, a really powerful removal spell, and 10 up the Harvester, one of the OG Elder Dragons. Um, yeah. So out of the sideboard, he also gets access to Celestial Purge. Um, let's see if there's any red. Yeah, maybe. There's like Thunderbreak Region for red permanents on the other side of the board, so maybe that might not come in. Yeah. Anyways, really grindy deck, and he got to live the dream to win with a resolved Biorhythm against a control deck. So
And
Nick
that
Hayashi is a Jeskai Dragon deck. Uh, we see 3 Dragonlord Oyutai, 4 Thunderbreak Region, 4 Icehole Region, and they're powered out by 4 Mind Stones as well. We see 4 Silumgar Scorn, that the pure reward for playing dragons. You get to play actual counterspell. There's Starstorm as the sweeper, and a Pyroclasm. We see like 1 Rose, 1 Pyroclasm. Lot of instants, 4 Anticipate, 4 Complicate, 4 Silumgar Scorn, 3 Incinerate, 2 Starstorm, and 1 Twin Bolt. And out of the sideboard, they get access to like a Rule of Law, a Flash Freeze, 1 Fate Forgotten, 1 Celestial Purge. I imagine that has come in. 1 Pyroclasm, 2 Roast, and 2 Overwhelming Denial, 3 Negate, 3 Pitting Needle. And we see one of the needles here, needling Croson Tusker. Croson Tusker is like a green divination. Like, you get a land and you get a random card. You're not playing Croson Tusker with the intention of casting it. You can cast it, and it's something you can do, and that obviously adds to the power of the card. But what you truly want to do is cycle it. It fixes your mana, digs you through your deck, get you ahead on cards, and now that's just not possible for the Radra. So we have to resort to playing Phyrexian Rager instead.
Pithing Needle has been a sneakily good card in this format. It is a format where there's not sort of the back-breaking activated abilities like the One Ring or something like that you like have to turn off. But because the format's a little bit lower powered, turning off a key card here or there has a much larger impact on the game than it might in other formats.
Yeah, I think it might have been you actually, wrote in the Discord the delta from your best card to your worst card on a very general level. It's very, very large. Mm-hmm. So you can just knock out the best card in your opponent's deck. The power level of the next best card might actually be significantly lower.
So both players just playing a little bit of a grindy matchup here. Teradra forcing Nick Hayashi to decide whether Oversold Cemetery, which has almost no text at the moment, is going to matter over the course of the game, and Nick deciding, yes, let's stop that from happening.
Yeah, let's complicate that a bit.
Yeah. So just a little bit of good back and forth between these two players as they wrestle for small advantages, and Sylvan Advocate coming out, which is a real threat with a couple of treetop villages sitting there. If he gets up to 6 lands, all of a sudden we're threatening to attack for 6 with each of these treetop villages and 4 from the Sylvan Advocate. So,
yeah, that's almost lethal in and of itself. And Nick Hayashi has to resort to just playing Dragonlord Oyutai. How unfortunate to play a massive beat stake that kills the opponent, draw some cards. But it could get scary here. Like, of course, Thratra cannot target this Dragonlord Oyotai right now, but a lot of stuff could happen. The shields are down. If Thratra want to resolve something powerful for 4 or 5 mana, then the time is now.
Yeah, it is kind of the downside of these tap out versions of control that um, sometimes you're forced to play a creature and that is just not big enough to handle what's already going out. Although with Terradra missing a land drop here, he's got to be feeling a lot better about his situation.
Yeah, uh, this was a key turn for the match or for the game. As you said, Thratra missing a land drop, he cannot be happy about that. There could still be a Grasp of Darkness, something, or Terror, or even maybe not Path to Exile, but one of the many removal spells he has access to could just be lying, waiting for this Dragonlord Oyotai to expose itself by going on the offensive. And if that happens and Nick cannot protect it, then we might see the pendulum swing the other way on the next turn.
Nick, despite being a Jeskai deck, has opted not to play any Path to Exiles in the full 75. So
Yeah,
there isn't the just easy mode to get rid of that Sylvan Advocate. Although there are 3 Incinerate in the main deck, and a couple of Roast in the sideboard. But I don't know, because this green black deck is so creature light. I don't know if those cards are still in the main deck for Nick.
yeah. Well, it feels creature light, but there's still 20 creature cards in this deck. They just don't act as creatures much of the time. Like Friction Rager is just a thing that replaces itself. Um,
Croson
Bailout
Tusker
Maul,
replaces itself.
yeah, and then there's Bailout Maul, which is it's not.
It's sort of a expensive divination with a body, right? It returns
Yeah,
2 creatures from the graveyard when it comes into play.
it's not like you are happy about roasting that, right? But we did see the sequence I talked about. Nick choosing to play Thunderback Regent, exposing Dragonlord Oyotai. It got terrored, and now Grasp of Darkness takes care of the Regent. Uh, Still, Thratra took 6 damage on the mouth for that. Um, Even though Nick cannot be truly happy about his board being done.
Taking a
And
look
Thratra
at the
really wanted it.
really quick transitioning to take a look at the green black white deck over here. We do see the full Grasp of Darkness. Terradra agreeing kind of with some of our assessment at the beginning around needing removal that can kill a variety of things. And we see here a full set of 4 Terror and a full set of 4 Grasp of Darkness. So very keen to just trade 1 for 1 with some of the big expensive threats and generate a mana advantage.
Yeah,
Back in
and
our
a cut advantage from like all your move traits 1 for 1, but your creatures pull you so far ahead. Like Thratra is super happy about playing a 25 turn game and just grinding out every single opponent, one Den Protector at a time.
Nick Hayashi forced to Icefall Regent the Sylvan Advocate, and that's not necessarily the answer that you're looking for when a lot of the value of that Advocate is wrapped up in these treetop villages that are just minding their own business on the sideline.
I think, sorry to interrupt you, I think Tyratra just realized that he cannot target. Icefall Region makes everything more expensive because we just saw Tyratra tap 2 swarms and then not cast a spell. The only morph in his deck is Den Protector. So the way he has tapped here signals to me that he really wanted to both morph and take care of the Icefall Regent this turn,
So
but
unfortunate
yeah.
that he's not able to use his mana completely efficiently this turn, but it does signal that this Icefall Regent maybe not long for this world.
No, uh, if I was Nick and I would fully read this signal and just, all right, I'll attack with this Icefall Regent, get my damage in, because Tyratra is getting low on life. I mean, if Nick Hayashi can just like deal some damage, slow down Tyratra, and kind of be like the age-old question: who's the beatdown? And I think Nick Hayashi is realizing, even though he's behind on board, the way this game plays out, he kind of has to set himself up to be the beatdown. Uh,
Hmm.
that roast was big.
Full punishment on
Capitalizing,
the unfortunate tapping as Den
yeah,
Protector hits the yard without getting any value.
yeah, exactly. Fully capitalizing. Anyway, as I was saying, Nick Hayashi, I think, needs to just keep Tarathra a little bit unstable, a little bit wobbly, take advantage of the fact that he has missed a land drop, take advantage of the fact that Nick Hayashi's creatures are bigger, and then get in some damage. And if it's a philosophy of fire thing here, if each of his cards can trade for a card and deal 4 damage, Nick Hayashi will win this game before Tarathra can kill Nick.
So we'll just have to see if this dragon deck can tempo out the green black deck, or if the green black deck is able to kind of grind to a place where these treetop villages start to make an impact. Because the answers in the Jeskai deck for treetop village are incinerates and starstorms, and those are not going to get the job done if those are 6/6 creatures. Well,
True.
although I will say, if we can get the Sylvan Advocate off the board, um, that starts to matter. But that's still a Starstorm for 5. That's a lot to ask.
Yeah, and I think Tarathra is fine just forcing the issue here. He managed to take care of Iceland region, and there's not really much going on from Nick Hayashi.
We do have
Tarathra
a There are a pair of
has to
Wandering
be
Fumaroles, so if we are playing that
yeah.
tempo game, there are still ways to get another 4 damage in this turn.
Yes, and that's why we saw Tarathra not attack with the Rage, I think. He noticed there's Wandering Fumaroles over there. I need to be careful because I cannot afford to just take 4 more on the mouth. Also, respecting those Incinerates in Nick Hayashi's deck.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if Nick Hayashi just draws those Incinerate, Tarathra is just dead. He just loses.
So now we see the treetop villages start to get active here.
Yeah. Yeah, just 10 you and then ask if that's good enough next turn.
Yeah, can you deal me 9?
I mean, there's 4 in the air from the Icefall region, and if there's if the Nyx's cards are Incinerate and he draws another Incinerate, then
There
I
are
mean,
pathways, but it certainly is asking some tough questions.
yeah. And we see the pendulum swing the other way around. Who's the beatdown? Tarathra realizing, okay, this Icefall region might actually unsettle me enough that I need to just get Nick dead before he draws his burn. And luckily enough, 3 top villages and Sylvan Advocate are good at getting people dead. Mindstone is not what Nick wanted. I guarantee you.
No, that's going to make the job a little bit harder.
Certainly. Um,
So now is this Icefall region forced to sit back and chump?
it kind of looks like it, but even that is not.
Yeah, what?
That won't work. It won't do it alone.
Yeah, then you start to wonder what the game plan looks like over the course of a couple turns, and we do see some agreement um, out of the players here as Teradra takes down that match with a beautiful biorhythm, followed up by just an unanswered Sylvan Advocate that turned those treetop villages into some serious questions that the Jeskai deck was not able to answer with burn as its removal.
Yeah, that like creatures having the keyword big is just good sometimes.
So it does
Sometimes
look
it's
like we
just
have
okay.
one match still going on. Not sure how much of it there is left to see, but we'll take a look now at a match between July Zerg and YN Derby.
Yeah.
So this is a combo deck on the blue black side based around Underworld Dreams, if I'm not mistaken.
Uh. Oh yes. Oh, this is. Oh my lord. All right. Underworld Dreams. Enchantment. Black, black, black. Oh, so this is Necro, you say? No, this is not Necro. This is reverse Necro. Whenever an opponent draws a card, Underworld Dreams deals 1 damage to that player. So, alright, you land it, and then you wait 20 turns and your opponent is dead. Well, we can speed it up a bit. On board, we have Howling Mine. And then there's um, Wheel and Deep. An instant, 3 and a blue. Um, any number of target opponents each discard his or her hand and draws 7 cards. Draw a card. So sure, you give your opponent a new hand, and then they take 7 damage, ideally. Comparative analysis: target player draws 2 cards. And then we have a lot of just control cards. Basically, there's 2 damnations, 4 complicate, 3 evacuation, 3 void shatter, 2 remove soul, 2 Silumgar's command, which is a card I wished was good enough when it was in standard, because it's just neat.
Well, we'll see if any of those sweepers are active right now, as July Zerg is presenting some of this go live threats that we talked about with Nissa coming down and putting +1/+1 counters on a bunch of different plants.
Oh, this is beautiful. Icy Manipulator tapping down Howling Mine.
Oh no. July Zerg, a noted Icy Manipulator lover, brought that to one of our events earlier in the year in a kind of big green shell, and now we see it come back again.
I believe it won him a game on camera with the Ice Manipulator, because it just locked down a creature, locked down a land, just did exactly enough.
Mm-hmm. Now we do see Damnation come down and clear the board for now, though Nissa voices Zendikar threatening to start building those plant tokens back up. We'll see with July Zerg able to keep that Howling Mine in check, and a Reality Smasher coming down to put a very serious clock in play if we continue to see answers out of this blue-black deck. 5 cards in hand, so the ammunition potentially there.
Yeah, like it's there's the ammunition, and he has to discard a card to Reality Smasher if he decides to target it, but there's plenty of cards to do that. Okay, Howling Mine is tapped. That happens. I mean, it's cool. It's just turning off Howling Mine because it's one of those old artifacts that just decides it gets turned off by being tapped.
Yeah, some very early Magic design going on in Howling Mine, but Icy Manipulator, designed around the same time, takes that functionality off.
Yeah. So, what do you imagine? Enderby has an evacuation in hand right now. What do you think the odds are?
We haven't seen a concession, so I think the odds are pretty good that something is going to happen. Let's see.
Something will happen here. What is it? What is it?
And it is that evacuation. A nice answer to these plant tokens. Reality Smasher still at risk of coming down and ending the game next turn with haste. So still under pressure of a lethal attack here on YN Derby's side of the board.
Yeah.
Reality Smasher coming down. So I don't know if that means that there's another one in hand, but we are exposing it to sorcery speed removal with this play.
Like the next damnation. But there's only 2 damnations in Winterby's 75. So, I mean, exposing it to the last copy of the last damnation. I mean.
And you're right, there is a lot more counter magic than sorcery speed removal in the deck, and so probably that was the idea, is just play around the complicates and the remove souls, get the threat down, and force them to have that second sweeper.
Yeah, exactly. And now we do see another, not a concession.
So we may see another round of evacuations go on here. This time, Nissa waiting till after combat to activate.
Yeah, July Soak learning the lesson.
But,
Come on, Wonder
you
Bee.
can only evacuate so many times.
Yeah, there's only 3 of them in the deck.
So we are going to need a more permanent
Oh,
solution. Well, this is an answer, maybe not as profitable an answer as we might like to see, since we are forced to discard a card to this.
but we also get to kill Nissa. So I say we got full value here.
And yet we do have to still deal with the Reality Smasher permanently. We'll see if a remove soul or a counter spell takes care of the threat if we decide to redeploy it here into 2 open mana. 5 cards
Yeah,
in hand, though, you got to cast something.
yeah, you have to spend your mana. You're so far ahead, just in general.
And unfortunately, Icy Manipulator potentially could have cleared the way, but deciding instead to keep that Howling Mine, probably the right decision.
Yeah, I think you're fine just trading 1 for 1 until and tapping down on that Howling Mine, just grinding out
Another Reality
everything.
Smasher does resolve,
Yeah,
or the same Reality Smasher, I should say.
this is the 3rd time this Reality Smasher has seen, well, reality. He has yet to smash it.
Okay, and the digging begins.
Yes,
There are not that many ways to deal with a Reality Smasher permanently in this blue deck.
there really isn't. No.
You really have to
Yeah,
get it off the board and counter it back on the way down. Because
yeah,
other than that, you're just looking at a pair of damnations, and YN Derby fails to find the answer, and we do see the end of the match. And with that, we see the end of round 1 of our summer series here in the books. Some exciting decks, some weird decks right off the jump. We already have seen an Underworld Dreams combo and a Biorhythm Resolve. So that's quite the start to our summer event.
yeah. Uh, as we teased in the beginning, we just have all these crazy ways to build the decks. There's all these weird cards that never truly got to shine. And yeah, I know we're looking at like a Reality Smasher and Nissan and Noble Hierarch, but there's also Silumgar's Command. There's Howling Mine. There's Icy Manipulator. There's Biorhythm. We got to see Biorhythm take down a game, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
so here for it.
Well, we're going to take a quick break as we've wrapped up round 1 and prepare for round 2. We'll be back with more Set Roulette action in just a few minutes here.